So, today we're going to talk about something really powerful. What if ancient Indian wisdom actually holds a key to understanding the gut brain connection in autism? We're going to dive into a framework that merges that traditional knowledge with modern science. And just to be clear, this isn't about a quick fix, but a real path to long term well being.
Okay, right up front, let's be super clear about our goal here. This is not about curing autism, not at all. It's about transforming the daily experience, easing those tough challenges like digestive pain and anxiety so that individuals can really, truly thrive.
So, where does a transformation like that even begin? Well, it all starts with the gut brain connection. Think of it like this. There's this nonstop two-way superhighway of information running between your gut and your brain. That conversation never ever stops, and it has a huge impact on how we feel and function every single day.
So this is where we kind of have to shift our thinking about the gut. It's not just for digestion, not by a long shot. It's a massive biochemical factory. I mean, the trillions of microbes living in there are constantly making chemicals and sending signals that directly influence our brain's mood, our sleep patterns, and our behavior.
Okay, now get ready for this number because it might just blow your mind. 90 to 95%. That's how much of your body's serotonin, the feel-good chemical, is produced in your gut. Let me say that again. Not in the brain, in the gut. This one fact is an absolute game changer for understanding mood and emotional regulation. And this is where you can see that link in action, clear as day. When the brain feels agitation and anxiety, the gut is often experiencing physical inflammation. That feeling of, cognitive fog, that can be a direct result of an imbalance in your gut microbes or something called leaky gut. They're not separate issues. They're literally two sides of the same coin. So if this connection is so critical, what do we do about it? Well, this is where we build a bridge between two worlds, the ancient health system of Ayurveda and modern microbiome research. And as you're about to see, they're basically speaking two totally different languages to describe the exact same truth. I mean, just look at these parallels. It's kind of incredible, right? Thousands of years ago, Ayurveda was talking about a weak Agni, which means digestive fire. Well, what do we call that today? Poor metabolism and inflammation. Ayurveda described ama, or a toxic buildup. Modern science has a name for that too, neuroinflammation. It's the same reality, just described centuries apart. So what's the big takeaway here? It's pretty simple, really. It doesn't matter if you're using the language of an ancient healer or a modern microbiologist. The conclusion is exactly the same. If you want to support the entire system, you have to start with the gut. Okay, so that brings us to the really practical part, the how-to. How do we actually go about healing the gut? Well, the framework we're looking at is all about a diet that's simple, deeply nourishing, and built on the incredible wisdom of traditional Indian foods. All right, first things first, the elimination phase. You can't really build a new house on a crumbling foundation, right? Same idea here. We first have to gently remove what might be causing harm. This means taking out common inflammatory triggers like gluten, dairy, sugar, and artificial additives. This gives the gut a chance to just rest and begin to heal itself. So once those triggers are out of the picture, we shift gears. We start bringing in these gentle, super nourishing foods. Moong dal khichdi is the perfect example. It's so easy to digest that it's almost like hitting a reset button for the entire digestive system. These foods are all chosen to soothe and rebuild without causing any stress. Next up, it's time to actively rebuild that all-important microbiome. But look, we're not just talking about popping a few supplement pills here. This framework turns to these incredibly powerful natural probiotics found in traditional Indian foods. Things like beetroot congee and homemade coconut curd, they are just packed with the good bacteria needed to bring the whole gut ecosystem back into balance. But here's a really important point. Healing is not just about what you eat. It's also about creating stability. For autistic individuals, routine isn't just a preference, it's not just about comfort, it's actually a form of medicine. Predictability creates this powerful sense of safety that directly helps regulate the entire nervous system. And a perfect example of this is the Indian practice of abhyanga, which is a warm oil massage. This simple therapy does something amazing. It activates the vagus nerve. Think of the vagus nerve as the body's emergency brake for stress. Stimulating it helps shift the body's entire state from that high alert, fight or flight mode into the calm, rest and heal mode. And that's where true recovery happens. And that shift is supported by other super simple but really powerful routines.
Getting some morning sunlight helps set the body's internal clock. Having structured mealtimes creates metabolic stability. Even something as simple as humming, yeah, humming, can stimulate that all-important vagus nerve and bring a sense of calm to the brain.
So, if you're thinking about this journey, what can you actually expect to see and when? It is so important to be realistic here. This isn't some overnight fix. It's a gradual, steady process of healing from the inside out, and the progress often shows up in pretty predictable stages. So, in those first few weeks, you're likely to see changes in the most basic things: better digestion, more stable sleep. Then, as the gut continues to heal over the next few months, that internal calm often starts to show up on the outside, maybe as fewer meltdowns or better focus. And in the long term, that stable foundation is what makes deeper cognitive and social growth possible. And look, it's so important to remember this. Progress is never, ever a perfectly straight line. There will be good days and tough days, but the goal here is something really profound: to build a stable internal foundation that supports lifelong resilience, greater independence, and a higher quality of life. So this all leaves us with one last big question to think about. What really happens when we build that bridge between ancient wisdom and modern science? We don't just find answers, we unlock a more holistic, a more compassionate, and ultimately a much more effective path toward healing.